Hey everybody, Patrick here with you, Bayou Outdoors 365, and we are talking about an event coming to Natchitoches, Louisiana now. I know for at least 2 years in a row now, the King Cat Tournament Trail, and Scott is joining me right now with the tournament. And so Scott, first of all, people don't understand it. Sometimes I've done stories on catfishing before. Sometimes it's noodling, sometimes it's not, but most times it's been noodling, but this is a little bit different. Y'all are in a tournament like that. Y'all are the equivalent of somebody looking at something like for a bass master for bass fishing, something like that. Tell us a little bit about your tournament trail.
Yes, sir. First off, I'm Captain Scott Peavy. I'm the tournament official. And we run King Cat Tournament Trail. We're a national catfish tournament trail. We travel all over the United States, and we are a live fish tournament trail. We weigh in 3 fish, all alive, and return them back to the bodies of water that they caught out of. And the great thing about us, you don't have to be a member to fish with us. We charge a $300 entry fee, and anybody can come fish with us as long as they have a live well adequate enough to hold a big fish like hopefully we'll see in Natchitoches in 2 weeks. But Patrick, we see this all over the country where people are intimidated by some of the guys that travel all the time. But we also see some of these amateurs and locals that win some of these events because they step out of their comfort zone and they're like, hey, there's a national tournament trail coming to my town. Here's a chance for me to get on TV. And we have some great amateurs that have won some local events. So it's for everybody. It's not just for the big wigs that travel all over the country with us every week and that kind of thing. It's also for the locals as well.
Let me ask this quick question. So you said it. I want to go back and get you to reemphasize it. So somebody out there's watching this right now, and they say, "Wait a minute. I know the Red River. I know Natchitoches. I got $300. I can go enter the thing."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If they've got $300 entry fee, they can show up at the Best Western, or they can register online or on our King Cat website. Come to the captain's meeting. We'll go over some rules. It's pretty simple. We have a good time at the captain's meeting, and hopefully we'll see some locals there because I know there's some locals that catfish in that area that we just hadn't reached yet, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some more locals that would make this event even better than it already is.
You said the requirement, for one, is so that somebody has a live well big enough here for it. So I can't take out the bass boat. This is going to have to be something bigger than that. When you're talking about how big are these fish, I know you don't really know, but what's the potential that one of these fish could end up weighing?
Last year we seen a 63-pounder come out of the Red River right there. So I tell everybody a 60-gallon live well or bigger is usually best. And Patrick, we see some amazing live wells that's built out of truck toolboxes that's fairly inexpensive. They take truck toolboxes and recirc pumps, and they set them in the center of the boats, and they pour water in them with their 5-gallon buckets and stuff. And we see this in big tournament, fishermen as well, not just local people that are fishing their first event. So there's ways for these guys to make live wells that's very adequate and inexpensive. And then also you can use it for a bait tank later on. So it's like, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But just y'all's area is amazing. Last year when we was there, the water had got real high and was falling out. We still had some great weights. But Red River didn't get to show itself like I expected it to. This year, I think the water levels are a little bit better. I don't think we've had that big high water. So as long as we don't have that falling water, some of these locals that know some of these shallow backwaters, I really feel like they could come into play and come take home some big money and have a chance to be on TV as well.
So Natchitoches, Louisiana, you're doing this. You have a series that goes across the country. Then you have your regular events, and you have what you call your signature series. And Natchitoches is a signature series, so it's not a one-day event; it's a 2-day event on Friday and Saturday. What's the dates of those again?
That is April 12th and 13th. Our captain's meeting will be on Thursday evening, the 11th, there at the Best Western in Natchitoches. The registration will be between 4 and 6, and the captain's meeting will start at 6.
Okay. So you have that there. And so they go out. The first day they fish, your weigh-in's going to actually be there on the river. Am I correct?
Yeah, it'll be at Grandy Core the first day.
Okay, first day. Second day, though, is that when all the festivities switch around a little bit? Even though the fishing's going on the river, festivities switch around, and they're going to actually take place at the Cane River in downtown historic Natchitoches.
Yes, sir. And it's an amazing event, Patrick. If you ask any of our anglers that was there last year, just ask them what their favorite tournament was they went to. Just about every one of them that was there will tell you Natchitoches. They've never been in a catfish parade before. They never had a police escort before. And then I don't know if you've seen the footage, but we had a lot of drone footage of the escort going downtown. So it was an amazing experience for me as well as a lot of the anglers. So we're going to do the same thing again this year, where all the anglers are going to meet at Grandy Core at like 3 o'clock on Saturday. We'll line them up. We'll have the police escort into downtown to the Riverfront Park, and then we'll do our way in there on the stage. But before that takes place, on Saturday morning, between 9 o'clock and 11 a.m., we'll be doing a King Kids event there at the Riverfront Park. Last year, we had a great crowd, give away a ton of Bibles, fishing rods, tackle boxes, a lot of stuff. We have our trailer stocked with supplies this year. Can't wait for Natchitoches for the kids event. It's one of our favorite events. Like I say, y'all have something very special there on that Riverfront Park, and we can't wait to get back.
So real quick, so let's just talk about that a little bit, because your things, I've been trying to tell people about this. It's much more than just a tournament. It's sort of an outreach. It's a thing you guys try to get involved in the community. So on Saturday, let's talk about that just once again. So you have an event for kids to come down to. Do they need to pre-register for it? They can just show up down there, and it's on the Cane River there on the banks, right? Probably, I'm betting, near the stage area where it's set up there. I mean, what does it mean for you guys to do something like that?
Patrick, I can't put into words what it means to me. I tell everybody, all kids are not athletes. All kids ain't football players, basketball players, but all kids can go fishing. I'm 46, turned 46 last week, but from the time I was big enough to walk until this day today, the biggest thing that has influenced me in my life and made a huge, just a career impact, the whole 9 yards, has been fishing. My parents started me at a very young age. And every time I see one of these kids' events, I can't help but think one of those kids right there could be the next Kevin Van Dam, or even the next Scott Peavy. Or, I'm not no famous dude, but I love what I do. I have a passion for the outdoors. I have a passion for God. And that was instilled in me through my parents at a very young age, being outdoors and being able to go fishing. And I tell these kids at these kids events that, a lot of times on Saturday mornings, I wasn't a kid sitting in front of the cartoons. I was a kid out there on the creek bank, even though if I wasn't on the lake somewhere, I was in the woods behind the house catching crawdads and stuff. And to me, that can never be replaced. That can't be replaced with a football game, a video game, or nothing like that. I seen kids last year at the Cane River catch their first fish, and I expect to see those same kids back this year. I seen parents last year at the Cane River that stood there with tears in their eyes because they was enjoying watching their kids do what they was doing. So I can never put into words what it means to me. It's very huge, but I tell everybody, the greatest pharmacy in the world is God's great outdoors. And that pharmacy goes a long ways, whether we're adults or whether we're kids. Fishing heals in so many ways.
So let me ask you just quick questions here with it. People might be curious about it. The people bass fish, people crappie fish and all, but when it comes to catfishing there, is there a singular, usual, or go-to bait they go after there? Because I've not been somebody that has been out there. I've been out there with a handful of guys sometimes doing the stuff, and we'd go out there and they'd go out there and they would net and try to get them some bait fish first and use that. But is there a go-to bait that usually these guys are going to be throwing out there in the Red River?
It's going to be your gizzard shad, and somebody's liable to bring some fresh mullet from somewhere. Your brim, that's going to be a big bait. Some of these guys that travel are going to be bringing skipjack. Last year, the tournament was won with gizzard shad and skipjack, and I feel like some of these guys that are traveling.
So live bait.
No, not
Is that right?
necessarily. Most of our tournaments are usually won on cut bait.
Oh, really? On cut bait? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time they are.
Okay.
So
So I'm going to ask you another question here. You may or may not have ever been asked, but I'm curious because there's great debates in other tournament series. How do they find their fish, and do they use live scope ever to find the catfish?
you know, live scope is coming into play no matter what it is in the fishing world. We hadn't really seen it as far as come into play for a win. But when you go back to the bait question, live scope is, you know, that's one of your biggest tickets to getting fresh bait is that live scope. You can see shad that you've never been able to see before. You can actually watch how the bait reacts to your boat as you're approaching, trying to throw a cast net on them. So I think that's very, very crucial sometimes. But there again, on them river systems that's got them big shallow oxbows and stuff like y'all have, you know, there's going to be bait in those areas. There's going to be people that's going to fish with crickets and redworms and, you know, just spat fishing down the bank like, you know, you would carry your grandkids fishing. There's going to be some anglers that spend all day one day doing nothing but that, just gathering fresh bait.
From the weather perspective on things, since that's what I mess with in my full-time job. So, how does weather impact this? Does it have as much of an impact on it? Because I know, like for example, bass fishing, obviously weather has an impact, and even moon stages, crappie fishing, it does with it. We just got recently finished fishing for sand bass. It has a little bit, maybe not so much. How does that impact going after catfish?
Well, a cold front's going to hurt you about anywhere you go, anywhere across the country. But our biggest enemy is falling water. Um, I can deal with cold temperatures, I can deal with hot temperatures, I can deal with wind, and I can deal with rain. But one thing that a fish does not like is falling water. And I've never been able to quite figure it out whether it gives them a headache or what it does, Patrick. But falling water is one of the biggest enemies, and that's as long as that water's not falling. I'm telling you, I really think Red River will show out. We'll see several 100-pound bags.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just thinking here at the top of my head is that for one, what I'm thinking of, if you think of it that way, falling water in a way, I'm guessing, almost in a way adds more pressure down there because you're shrinking the mass that they're able to live in. It's sort of like us up here in our area. Number two is that the other thing that I'm wondering is that if it's almost in a way it's telling them I'm running out of space. But I'm betting it's the pressure aspect of it too, because there's not as
really
much water down there, not as much air for them to be in.
Right, and I've seen it affect fish whether you're fishing in 5 foot of water or 50 foot of water. When that water starts falling, it's just a negative deal. Now, last year with that water falling, we did have some big bags. You know, we had a 63-pounder. The guys that led the first day, they had like 110 pounds the first day. But then the second day, the water started falling even more. And the people that had 110 pounds, I don't think they caught but like 48 pounds the second day, which honestly, they didn't even have to catch a fish to still win. But so, and that shows you how drastic it can change things. Because the first day, everybody had a real good day, you know, and then the second day it kind of fell off. So I'm got my fingers crossed that no matter whether it rains or a little bit of wind or whether it's warm or cool, my fingers is crossed that water just don't fall out on us.
So real fast, I'm going to wrap this up with you. So the event itself's coming up there in April. The weekend, I'll put it this way, it's the Friday and Saturday, folks, right after the eclipse. And so that's the way to remember it because that's in everybody's brain right now. Number two, the question of it is, when will some of these, teams start to come in town to pre-fish? So I'm asking a question because so when people go out there, they say, who is that in that boat out there fishing right now? They don't look like they're typical local, but when are they going to start being able to pre-fish, and when do you think they're coming in town?
There'll be some of them show up next week. Next week we're in Clarksville, Tennessee, and as quick as we leave that event, I feel like some of them anglers will probably be in Natchitoches on Sunday getting ready for this Signature Series 2-day event. Because some of our anglers, that's what they'll do. They leave from one event and head straight to the next. And this coming weekend, we're actually off because of Easter weekend. So, you know, they'll be sitting on go ready to get back on the road and travel and find some fish.
I'm sure some of them also that had not been here before probably learning how to pronounce the name of Natchitoches too, in case they get put on the spot again.
You know, that was a big part of the TV show, and everywhere we go across the country, that people talk about the TV show, Natchitoches is always brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Arlene done an amazing job with that, and that's one of it's just one of the little things that stick out to some of our anglers on the TV is like. We'll never forget trying to spell Natchitoches or how to say Natchitoches and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I will tell you what, as I wrap things up with you, Natchitoches itself, they are looking forward to having you all back. It seems like I've heard a lot of positive things about it. I've been down there recently talking to them. I know that you have involved with it also. I believe the National Fish Hatchery, they bring in their tank, I think, to help take the fish back to the Red River. So I think they're excited to be part of this again. And I encourage anybody that's never been to Natchitoches to come to Natchitoches, come have yourself some meat pies. Come enjoy yourself there, the historic downtown area. That town is a hopping little town there, and they got so much to offer. And obviously, folks, come on out and see Scott and them there with the King Cat Tournament Trail. Friday and Saturday, that is going to be the 12th, 13th?
12th and 13th.
Yeah, 12th and 13th, everybody. So come see them out there, Natchitoches, Louisiana, everybody. King Cat Tournament Trail.